G'day folks, well I'm holding in my hands the Sun Mum Cube and I've had this one for a little while, but I must admit every time I pulled it off the shelf and had a look at it I just got terrified. I couldn't initially see, how do you separate all these little pieces, because it just seemed like everything was these larger blocks. Well, I bit the bullet the other day and said, no, that's it, I've got to figure this out. And so here we are. So this is a really good cube. I really enjoy it now that I've got to know it a little bit, and I would certainly recommend it, and I'm very much looking forward to attacking one of the 4x4 Sun Mum cubes, and I've got a feeling they are quite a bit more intense than this one. So this Sun Mum cube, I think it's called Sun Mum, in some places it's called Child Mother. I think the inner parts here are supposed to be the child or the son, and then the outer parts representing the mum. Be that as it may, what we have is a pretty standard mix-up type arrangement where you've just got pieces all over the place. And the first thing that we're going to do is to return it to cube shape. So what I would do, looking just here, I would kind of say, well, I'm going to try and turn some of these ones. So I'll see if I can bring that into the middle there, and then just turn this face 90 degrees, and just doing that makes it a lot better. You can see that sometimes the edges will just go in, and now I would try and line all these up the same way initially. I don't have one there, and I would think about maybe turning this 45 degrees like that in case it makes a difference. In that case it hasn't actually made a difference, it's still put three edges in the center position. So that's what I've got here, 1, 2, 3, so that's okay, I'll leave it like that. And what I'll try and do now is just use, you can basically see the problem that we've got is this edge is in a center position and this center block is in the edge position. So we're going to try and replace this with that. Now the thing that I want to check before I do it is just that there's nothing going to block it, and at the moment this, if you like, needs to be pointing the same direction all the way across in order not to block it. So just looking, that should be fine now. So what we want to do, move that edge into the edge position, just a 45 degree turn of that middle slice, and then bring it up to the top face, replace it with this center block and return that center block, and then move that slice back. And you can see the center that was here is now here, and the edge that was here is somewhere up here. That's essentially all we're doing initially, and it'll start to look heaps better quite quickly. So I might bring that up there ready to do this one, but I've got that oriented the wrong way. So what I'll just initially do is turn that off, orient that correctly. I'll just check that everything else is still, and that probably needs to be like that, and it doesn't matter, that can be here or it can actually be here as well. So I think that's good now, so we'll turn that up. Hang on, we will not, because we did not turn that 45 degrees into the middle. That's obviously pretty essential. Now, have we just created, yes we have, okay. So if we look at the back here, we can see it's actually being blocked by these pieces here. That's what I was talking about before. So those pieces are coming from this face. So I do need to have that face like that, and that should now mean we can freely turn what we need to. Okay, we just look for any other edges that are in the center position, like this one. There's a center up there, so we'll just make sure that things, hopefully, yep, that looks pretty good. Turn that in, bring it up, turn that on and return. Very, very simple moves. We've just got one edge left to do, which is sitting here, and I'll just hold it like this because I've got the center piece up here. Now if you had an edge here and a center here or something, you just would turn it up to an upper face. That's the only change that you'll need. This one's horizontal, I'll need to make that vertical. I think we're good now. Now I'll just show you, this one is on that position there, so if that happens you just need to turn this down first. Just do a down, down, up, up. Bring these back, And you can see at this point all those edges are now in the edge positions. Well, that's a good thing. So the next thing that'll be really obvious is that some of these bits are sticking up, and we don't want that. So the way that I've found to do this is we can flatten two of them at a time, and I've never found these to be occurring singly. So I'm going to go with that, and so they're always going to occur in pairs. I wonder if that's true now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, there's 6 of them. So the first thing that we can do is, if we just want to get 2 done, we need one on the back face in that position and one on the up face in that position. So you can work out what exact notation that is, but that's where I need them. One here, one here. The rest doesn't matter where they are as long as everything is pointing in the same direction. You can see that's what's happening here. Now what I want to do is carry out this move. I want to do a 45 turn into the middle, and I think somewhere that's called an E move, but what I'm going to refer to it as is a U, a small u, a lowercase u plus. The reason for that is if I do a U-turn, an uppercase U-turn, that's what that is. The lowercase normally means the slice below that. So the slice below the upper is that one. So I'm going to basically do that, be called a U plus. It's a 45-degree turn. And then what I want to do is bring this up to the top. That's a lowercase r move because it's the right hand face slice, if you like. Then I want to undo those moves. So now a U minus and then an R minus. I'll endeavour to remember to put this on the screen as I'm doing it. Now so far that's just made it worse, but what we want to do now is an uppercase U2. Just like that. And now we undo everything we just did in the same order. So in other words, to undo what we did first, we need to firstly do this turn, then this turn, then undo this one, undo this one. Now, everything's back to the shape that it should be, and you'll notice the back face and the up face have no flipped pieces. So it'll just flatten, or not flipped is the wrong word, sticking up, it'll flatten these two pieces here. So that's all we do. Now, a couple of situations that you can get. One is, what if you have pieces on the opposite face? So one piece here, one piece here. The other is, what do we do if we have two on the same face? Okay, well, let's deal with the two on the same face first. Really simple. To take this over to this face, all we do is turn the cube like that. You'll notice this part has now gone to the left. We can now do a left 2. Bring everything back. This bit's still sitting here, this is now over on this face. And we can now go ahead and do the same thing. Now I also want to set up, and I'm going to do the same thing there to set up for this. I'll actually move this one over to here. So by now you'll know the answer to this one, but what if we were down to the last two? We had one here and one over here. Well, you can see the exact same sort of thing's going to happen. I just need to move this across a face, and the way to move it across a face is to hold it here and do exactly the same thing. Turn that on. Bring it back. Now that is next to that. That's where we want it. So that's about the only two things that you'll need to think about. And then, of course, what we've got now is I've got one here, and I've got two on this face. Now just to show you the other way that you can deal with this is to just use one of the ones on this face. So perhaps we use this one and this one. I'll just turn this the correct way. And that will automatically deal with these two as well. So let's go and deal with that one and that one now. A little bit touchy sometimes, but generally pretty good. Okay, they're gone. That leaves me one. Oh, they're on the opposite faces. No problem. Just bring one of these over to here. We're done. And now line them up, the last two, in that position, and away we go for the last time. Well, maybe not actually. That's coming up. Come on. Occasionally this does this, and I don't know if it's just something that's not necessarily, I don't feel like it is my alignment problem. You can kind of see it's right in the middle of that piece there, and it shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure why that is. What I've found is sometimes if I turn it round and put them in the other position, it just goes perfectly. So I'm not really sure why that is, but that's what I do. Anyway, they're all flattened now. Okay, so that's completely back to cube shape. Now the next thing that I want to do is going to seem a little bit strange. I'm going to solve the outer 3x3. I'm going to completely ignore what's inside and try and completely solve the outer 3x3. And the reason for this is because there is a pretty nasty parity. I'm going to use that word like I know what it means. I don't. It's a pretty nasty problem. Let's just call it a problem that can show up, and it's two swapped edges, or a swap of two edges, or it could show up as a swap of two corners, which is essentially going to be the same thing. Now the reason that I'm going to check it here, because you could just go and check it at the end when you're solving the 3x3 normally, and the reason I don't want to do that is because the fix for it will lead to more of these things that are sticking up, and we've kind of got to go back a fair way. So I would rather sort it out here, because once it's sorted out, it will not occur at the end. So that's the reason why now I'm going to start solving this as though it's a 3x3 normal cube. I want to do that check now. So the first thing is to actually check the centers, because what you'll notice is on the original cube, it's the standard color scheme. We've got white on the top. If we've got red here, then blue should be here. And then we should have orange, and then we should have green, and we should have yellow here. These centers are all out of place. Why has that happened? Well, you can kind of see that if I just do this, and we did a couple of these already, I've just swapped the yellow and the blue center there. That's why that sort of thing has happened. So this is the first thing to check. I just start with my white. There's my red. If it's not here, if it's over here, I'll have to put it up, but it's here now. Then I know blue is here, so I firstly want to swap the blue and the green. So I've got white, red, blue. Next one should be orange. Next one should be green, and the yellow should be down here. Now my centers are all correct and ready to go. Next thing I would do would be to solve the edges. So for example, this white blue, just go about this as quickly as you like. If the cube turns, there's a white green that's got to go over here. There's a white red, which is going to go here. And the white orange. Whoops, if I just put that in the wrong position, what did I do with the green? I did something weird with the green. There it is, that's better. Okay, so the white, if you like, the white cross is done. And then you can go, I'm actually going to do this a little bit differently here than I would normally. I would normally just go and do all the edges. I'm going to place 3 of these corners, because it just makes it easier to get the last little bits of corners done at the end. So it doesn't matter which ones, I just want the white ones up there. Let's take this white, green, red corner out, turn it round. This is actually the method that I would use for solving the cube with just this one algorithm. So that's really all I'm doing here. White, blue, red. I'll just, I could either do that 3 times, or I could just do something I used to do. However you do it, doesn't really matter. Got white, orange, green can be my 3rd corner. Okay, so I've got the 3 corners. Now I'm going to turn it upside down. That's the dodgy one that I don't care about yet. Now I'm going to try and do the other 3 edges. So let's have a look. I just don't want to do orange, blue. So let's say I want to do green, red, which is sitting here and needs to go down into that position. That's the corner that I can temporarily turn like that. Now I can use that to put in my green, red. I can do an orange, green. That one goes over here, so I'll bring the corner with it. I can do that. I should stress though, all you're doing here is solving the 3x3 outer cube as however you would normally solve it. Don't have to do it this way at all. The red-green was another one that I wanted to do. That's in position but twisted, so I'll just bring that out. Did I say twisted? Probably should have said flipped. So what have I done? Orange, green, red, green. Oh, I just put that back in twisted, I think. It was really not very smart. As it is, I've actually got that one up here, which I might as well do as my third corner, or my third edge. Okay, so now that I've got that, I can use this edge here to start placing these ones. The yellow, that needs to be yellow-orange, and that needs to be yellow-green. So I can turn the yellow-green around. The yellow-orange is sitting here. So what I want to do is bring it down into this middle layer initially, and now turn its position around to here, like so. So those two edges are in. What about the last three? Well, you can see the blue-red goes here, the yellow-blue, sorry, that's yellow-red's going here, yellow-blue is going here. Let's go ahead and put them in. Now this is pretty cool, and something else that can happen on this cube, it's really simple to deal with this one. You'll see that we have a single flipped edge. Now in order to deal with this single flipped edge, and we are going to deal with it now, we may encounter this at the end, and I'll explain why, but this is such an easy fix that it doesn't matter. There's two ways to deal with it, and I'll show you the same way that I'm going to use at the end now, because it makes a lot of sense and it's just good to know. So I'm just going to hold it here at the up front position and some other edge here, don't care which one, and I'm going to do a standard flip of these two edges that I would do on any cube. It's a down, down, up, up, and then I would receive this back by turning its position on. Now what you'll notice there is it has successfully flipped that edge, which was the problem. It's also flipped that one. So here's the genius part. We want to turn that up so that now there is a center in that edge position. That's one of the beauties of this cube. If we flip that center, we won't even know. So now we undo. We basically do the exact same thing that we just did. Down, down, up, up. And then turn that upper face to receive that piece and undo. And then of course we can bring that back. And what you'll clearly see is that now that edge has been flipped. We didn't notice anything that's happened with that. And all of the edges are correct. Oh, no they're not. Yes they are. They are all correct. Now the thing, we're not quite out of the woods yet, because we also need to check the corners. So I'm now going to use the corners here. I'm going to use this one and just start placing them up the top. So this is yellow, blue, red. I'll turn that around and just do an up, up, down, down to place that. I'll look at what I've got here, yellow, orange, green. Well, that's that one. Okay, the other one I need is the yellow, red, green at the back, and I can see it's sitting here, so I'll just do an up, up, down, down to get it down to the bottom. Now I can bring its position around and do an up, up, down, down. And the final thing is I'm just going to keep going until all the edges are back where they should be. Is that right? I think that is right, all the edges are back. And what we're going to see here is one of two things. One of two things? Maybe more than two. Only really two things that I care about. If all the centers are done and all the edges are done and my corners are good, and what I mean by good is that they're either solved or they're in the correct positions but they're twisted. That's great. I'm done and I don't have to do anything else. However, what we've got here is a situation where I have two swapped corners, and that can show up as the two swapped edges. It doesn't matter which one it is. Now unfortunately I can't just fix this as I often would And when I first looked at this, that's what I did initially. I thought I'll turn this face one turn and resolve. The problem with that is that it'll fix the corners, but it won't fix the edges. It'll now have two swapped edges. So it's not a simple thing to get out of. I've got these two swapped corners. This is what they're calling a parity that can happen here or later. We're going to solve it now. We're going to deal with it now. And this is the whole reason for getting the cube in this shape. Well, not the shape, but the 3x3 part, checking it. Now, if you had the two corners correct, as in they were solved or they were just twisted, then the part that I'm going to do now, you do not have to do. And you should not do, because you'll actually put it out. So this is just the fix if we've come up with this situation. It's a simple fix, but you kind of got to pay attention, because I've done it so many times I've just lost what I'm doing because I've not been concentrating. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do, starting with the front face, a down, down, up, up. Then we're going to turn the middle slice 45 degrees. Then we're going to do a down, down, up, up, which reverses that. So instead of the front face, we start with this right face. So down, down, come on, up, up, that reverses it, and then I do another 45-degree turn. Now what I just did there is one of these sequences. I'm going to do 4.5. So let's do the second one. Down, down, up, up, 45 degrees, and then the undoing, down, down, up, up, 45 degrees. That's two of them. That's 3. That's 4. That means we've only got half to go. That means we've just got a down, down, up, up, and a 45-degree turn. Here we go. Down, down, up, up, and our final 45-degree turn. Now, what you'll notice is that the first thing is all the edges are back in edge positions, all the centers are back in center positions. The second thing is you've got things that are flipped up. And that's another reason that I like doing this here, is because I can deal with them very easily now, just the way I did before. So I'm actually going to do that and get everything back to cube shape. It looks like we've actually got 8 of them to do. So I'll just turn them all to face the same direction and get that done. What's going on here? It should be fine. Is it going to be one of these? There we go. That should be 2 done. Let's do the next 2. It's 4 done. Should be 4 left. Yes, there are. And the last 2. All right. Now you might be wondering, does what we just did, pushing down those parts, does that actually undo the good work we did just before? The answer is no, because we've got an even number of these turns, and we've got an even number of these turns, and we've got an even number of these turns. So anytime we do that, it does not change essentially the underlying structure. That's the best way that I understand it. So I don't have to go and resolve the 3x3 now, because I know that what I did has fixed the issue. So that's not going to happen at the end of this solve. Where I am now is I know that I've dealt with that potential issue. So now I'm going to solve the inner parts. So the course from here is to solve the inner parts and then treat them as a big center, and then solve the whole thing as a 3x3. Now the method I'm going to use for this, I love it, and I hope you will too, and it's not, there's no kind of 3-cycle anything to remember. It's a building method, and as I said, I hope you like it too. What we're going to do is just pick any face, and maybe I'll pick the green because it's got a center and an edge already, and that's what we start with. We want to attach a center, and maybe I shouldn't pick the green face because I've got to show you the whole thing. Let's pick the orange face. First thing I want to do is attach an edge to that center from somewhere. There's an edge over on this face. So what I've got to do is basically I'm going to, the key move for the whole, every time I want to bring this to here and this to here, every time I want to do a swap of that part and that part, I want to turn, I'll do this on the front face, so turn it like this. You can see this is kind of the basic move the whole time. Then bring that up to the top. So far this is exactly the same as what we've been doing to unflip those parts. Now I do a U2, I return that, and I return that, and you'll see that that edge has been attached to the center. And it's not just the edge, it's the two little corner bits here as well. That's the general technique the whole way through here. So I've got a center edge. Next thing I want to get an edge corner and attach it there. So I'll just see, are there any done? No. So I'll just find an edge somewhere. So here's an edge, and I'll turn that face because I want to attach that corner down to here. Now what I've got to think is that they always swap diagonally. So that corner there is going to land here, and if it was here it would land up the top. Now clearly I don't want to actually do this swap like this because that edge will come over here. So I've got to think, well, I can put the edge there, or I can put the edge there. So if I've got my corner up here and it's going to come down to that position, that's where the edge needs to be. So now I do the move. You can see an edge corner part is now made. Now I need to get that over to this face, so I'll just now swap it over to this face. Now how do we move something entirely from here to here? We just do exactly the same thing that I've just been doing. Now that's on the adjacent face. Now I can put it here. Now I don't just want to swap that with that edge. I want to either do that or that. And in this case I can see that because this part is going to land here, that's where I need the center and the edge to be. So it matches up and forms a 2x2 block. So the technique is to build a center edge, a 2x1 block, then we want to build a 2x2 block. The next thing we're going to do is attach another edge corner up here or here and build a, what's that, a 2x3 block. So I would go and see if I can find where they are. There's a couple of edges there, so I've got an edge here and a corner here. So this time if I put the corner in that position and swap this and this, I can see that corner edge block will be made. So let's do that. Alright, there's another edge corner block. That's got to go to this face. So I would put it there and then just say, is that in the correct position? And it looks like it is, because that is going to go to the top. That's exactly what I want. Now it just so happens that there was a little corner here that came up to here and actually made that, which is nice. That's what we want, because the last thing to complete the face is to make a triple. So I've got an edge corner. I need to now attach the other corner. Got to find it. It's over here. So I'll bring it over to the adjacent face. Like so. And now I've just got to position these so that the corner lands where I want it to land. If I have the edge corner here, I can get a corner there by putting it down into that position. Now there's really only one way of doing this, because I can't put it there because it'll come over to this face. I can't put it here because it'll knock out that corner. So this is the only position that can be in, and the corner has got to be there. So now I know that's where everything should be. I swap. I've made the triple. The last stage of building a face is to simply swap that triple over to there. And there we have it. That is one face completely done. And we just continue doing that for all the other faces. And you might be thinking, well, that's all well and good when you've got lots of faces to play with, but what about the last couple? Yep, it's slightly more involved, but really not that much at all. And I'm going to show you a few examples of that at the end. Okay, now we know what we're doing. The next thing I might go and I'll do the white or the green. Let's try the white. So I've got a center edge already. Let's see if there's another. There's not another center, edge corner made. There's actually only one center on that face, believe it or not. So let's go and get an edge and see if we can attach the edge to a corner. So I'll put the edge here and I'll put this corner here. I've got two of them going over. I just want that one there. So that's fine. Okay, that edge is done. I can now bring that over to the red face. You can see all we're doing is a strategic use of that move. Now I'd want to bring them up to the top here, so that's why I'm positioning it there. Okay, next thing. Let's see, what we can initially do is actually bring this edge over to here and bring this corner over to that position. Okay, so the edge is ready. Now if I turn that one turn, that corner is now ready to go up into there. That's exactly what I want. Okay, I can put it there. And again, there's only one position that this 2x2 block can actually be. If I try and put it here, you can see that that will land there, which is not what I want. So it must be here. There's the 3x2 block. Now I've got to make a triple. Okay, here's an edge. Let's put the edge there and attach the corner like that. And where's the other corner over here? So I'll bring that across. Now again, there's only one position that can be, so I have to have my corner landing there, so it has to be up in this top right position. And you can see that, you know, it is very, very quick when you're doing it, and particularly when you're not explaining it to someone. You just get into the groove. It becomes very clear what you've got to do, where stuff's got to be placed. Now I'm deliberately not going to try and do the opposite face. So what I'm going to do is do 3 faces around a corner and then just narrow the other 3 faces down to there. So I might do the green next. I've got a block here, so I can place that there first of all, which makes my 2x2 block. In some senses it gets a little bit easier here because there's not that many faces for the places to go. What did I just say? There's not that many places for the pieces to go. Clearly getting delirious. I've got a block here, so I'm going to move that over to here, and I'm just going to get that green piece out of the way so it doesn't land on the blue face, which is opposite where it's going to end up needing to go. That's the thinking behind that. Okay, so we've got that's there, so I think where does it have to go? Yes, it has to be in that position. I don't think it, no, it's got to be in that position. Alright, now I've got the edge and a couple of corners. So let's first of all, let's actually swap the edge and the corner to bring the edge out of that face. Now I can now put this edge here or here depending on where I need it, and you can see that that corner wants to come up here, so that's where the edge needs to be. That's good. Now I'm trying to make a triple now, so I can use this face to do it. Again, that's the position it needs to be, so that is the position that that corner needs to be. Okay, face number, what's that? Face number 3 made, yes. Now, I would absolutely do the blue face next because it's clearly got a lot of stuff made on it, and I only really need to make the triple. I've never actually had that happen before, so stuff like this can happen. First thing, I might turn the blue edge there and attach that corner. And then this double, I'll turn it down to the bottom, which is where it must go. That's where the corner needs to be. Okay, so that triple has been made. We now swap that and attach it to the face. Good, that's 4 faces done, and that just leaves us with the final 2. Now clearly there's only really one face to do now because the final face will be completed automatically at the end. There's a number of, I guess permutations is the wrong word, but a number of arrangements that we could get here. I'm just going to do this one, and then I'm going to show you a few more after that before I continue with the rest of the cube. So here I would look at it and say, well, I've actually already got a 2x2 block on the yellow face. So I'll forget about that corner and take the 2x2 block. I'll look over here and say, do I have another 2x1 block? I don't, so I'm going to make one. So if I put the edge here, I really need a corner down in that position, and I can certainly do that, and that corner will come up here. That's the first thing. Okay, now I'm going to attach that 2x1 block over to here, and in so doing it'll actually remove that corner, which is not a bad thing. It probably is, doesn't help hugely, but it's not terrible. Okay, so now I've got stuff in these 3 positions. Well, what I'm going to do initially is I'm going to put this corner up to here, and then I'll turn this edge down to here to take it back. Okay, so the corner is in that position. I turn the edge down to take it back. That's going to land here. That's going to go to here, which I hope will be a good thing. Okay, so there's a corner edge. Now, again, there's only one position that can be. It's here, and it just so happens that corner is in the perfect position. So I'm going to put that on. And before you know it, you've got your triple. You can do the swap. and your centres are done. Now of course that was actually a fairly straightforward one at the end, so as I said, I'll show you another few now, and when they're done we'll come back and continue with the rest of this puzzle. Well, in this scenario what we've got is the yellow and the red still to do, and you can see it's a bit of a toss-up as to which one we choose to do first. It doesn't matter. Well, when I say first, obviously I mean at all, because the sixth face will be done. So let's just choose the red, and with the red we're not worried about the fact that we've got sort of 3 here and 3 here. That's actually not very helpful. We want to still build it up. So let's say that we take that center edge and that edge corner. Okay, we've got to get rid of this, and we'll see if there's another edge corner that's made, and there is. So what I'd like to do, if I can, is actually replace this little corner here with this edge corner block. And you can see that it's set up in the exact right position to do that. So that's the first thing. Now the next thing here, we've got this little corner that we need to get attached to the edge, and of course this one as well. So firstly I'll note that the corner's at the bottom, so it's going to come up to the top, so I'll place the edge there. And it gets me that little combination. Now to get the other one, I'm going to have to put it here, but first it needs to go to that face. So bring that last little corner over to that face initially. Now this may or may not be a problem, and the issue that you can see here when this happens is that I can really only turn that corner up to that position there, but I can't put this edge there to receive it. So if I try and turn it up here, it's actually going to take the whole 3 block, and in this case that's not a bad thing to do. So what we will do is just turn this block out of the way, grab the 3 red block, bring it over to this face, and what I've done now is I've got my triple. I can now go ahead and quite easily put this one back where it needs to go. Now clearly it's not going to go to that position, so I'm going to have to turn this face around to receive it there. And now we are easily ready to just do that final swap. All done. Okay, here we've got a centre, a red centre, which has no red edges around it at all. So we've got quite a bit to do here. The first thing is to just see if I can get any double blocks, edge corner blocks. In fact, before the edge corner block, probably because I need to start with an edge centre, I want to get, I would say, this edge attached over there. So I'll just swap that straight away. So I've at least got the starting edge centre block done there. Now I would say, well, can I put an edge corner block where I need it? I've got an edge corner there. That's going to go to the top position. So if I just turn that around 180 degrees, you can see that now will attack that top position there, which is what I want. The next thing to do would be to find any other edge corner blocks, and there's one here and there's one here essentially. Again, I don't want to worry about the fact that there's a 3 already there. Okay, this configuration will allow me to place that block up here. Now I'm definitely going to have to turn this one like that. I've got this one ready and this corner ready. So what I would think initially is I'd turn that corner to there. I think I'm going to be in a position, if I do that, that it's going to knock out. I'm going to have to end up knocking out a triple block over here anyway. Now that's okay, you can do that. I think the last one that I showed, that's exactly what happened. What would happen if instead I did this block over to here. So you can never really do anything wrong. It just might end up taking a little bit more time. So if we do that, I want to put that in there. Now this corner can actually go into either this position or this position now. So I'm not really concerned where that corner is, but I don't just want to swap this back because that's what I had before. So what I might do is actually swap this one out now. And again, I'm not saying that this is the most optimum method of doing it. It's just that it will eventually work. Now, if I hold this up here, I can see that I want the little corner to come from that position. So my question is, can I get this corner into that position? Well, sort of. It's in there now, but it's going to take that with it as well. So what you could do here is, firstly, what you really want is to have that corner over there in order for this to happen. So what I would do to make that, because I've got to think, realistically, I want that corner to be there once that's swapped. So I'm going to swap this, move the corner down to there, and then swap it back. That's the plan. So I've moved it. I'll turn that corner down so it's well away. Now bring it back. Okay, that's back. Now I can grab this corner and move it to there. And remember, the point of doing this is so that I can then turn that like that. Okay, that is now in the correct position. That will come up here and swap to there. And finally we've got the 3, we've got the triple that we can go and put into where it belongs. And again, certainly not saying that that's the optimum method to do it, but just proving that, as I said, you can't really go wrong. You can only kind of make it a little bit longer for yourself. Well, in this setup, what we've got is, we've actually got almost nothing around this red center here, just one little corner. So initially I would want to get an edge there, and there's no clear edges, so it doesn't really matter which one I choose. So, I don't know, we could do that one, I suppose. I want to initially put it there. Okay, so we've got the edge there. Now I want to go ahead and see if I can place some other 2x1 blocks, edge corner block. That one's going to go down to that position, which is good, so I'll do that. Okay, can I get another one in while I'm at it? Yes, I can. Now I've got a couple of choices here, and I could do this one. It'll knock out just that one corner. I wonder if I could do that one and it'll actually take out these 2 corners. To me, I feel like that might be a better option. Might not as well, I don't know. But just looking at it, because it at least gets that sort of complete section done. Now, again, we've got this situation where we've got a corner and an edge corner block. So I think here I've got to think about where that corner is going to end up. It's got to end up here, so it's got to be over here. Can I get it over there initially? Well, I don't reckon I can. So my option here is basically going to be just to put the corner over to there and then replace the triple that's just been made, if I can, with, I may not be able to actually. Let's have a look. Can I do that? I can do that, do that. The triple's going to replace there, but that's going to come over down to the bottom, which is not what I really want. And I can't just replace that one because it's got that one out. So, that being the case, I think then what I would do would be to put that over there far away from this corner, get the corner back, and now see what's going to happen. That obviously, if I'm going to do this, the corner has got to be in, it's going to have to end up there, so it's got to be in this position first. And to get it there, I can't just do that. So once again, I think I'm in this scenario where I've got to move that corner around. So I'm going to swap the edge turn that corner around to there, bring the edge back. Now that corner is in the correct location. I can put it up to there, that's not in the way. I can swap it over to here. Now I can turn that around, put that on, and you'll start to see that really there's not a whole lot of different things that you can end up doing here. It's just a matter of you're restricted using only two faces, but in some senses it actually makes it sort of easier because you don't have to worry about where all the other pieces are. Well, this final one here, it's a little bit of an interesting one because it's nearly all done, but we've just got this one corner to swap. So what we'll have to do obviously is to get a double out of the way. Now we could put this corner back in or not. So probably what I would do would be to put the corner just out of the way there because I'm not exactly sure where I want it yet. Now what I want to do is see this one is oriented like that, so I'm going to need this corner to land here, which means I need to get it up there, and of course initially it needs to be down here, if that makes sense, in order to come back there. So I would try and turn it down there and see if that works. It doesn't quite work, so what that tells me is that I need it like this, where that's over there but this corner is down here. Okay, so how do I do that? I'm going to swap this back, turn the corner around and then bring it back here. Now I had to turn the corner around 90 degrees clockwise, so now I can bring it back. Hopefully. Let's see if we can get this aligned. There we go. And now when I turn it down, it's not obstructed by that at all. So I can put the corner over to the red face. I'm now able to turn the block down to the bottom to receive that corner. And that has built that triple, which can now be put into its position. And we're done. Well, we're now nearing the end of the solve, and the thing to do now is to properly solve the 3x3 and treat all of these bits as the single center. So I'll go through that fairly quickly now, and earlier in the solve I did it by placing 3 of the white corners. All I'm going to do now is just do an edges first method as I would normally do here. So I won't take too much time on this because it's a pretty standard thing. Okay, that's the whites. I'll do 3 of these edges in the middle. Green, red. Okay, so this is the 4th edge, and now I'm going to try and place the yellow red and the yellow blue. Well, the yellow, both of them, oh, actually the yellow red's okay, I can do that. The yellow blue, let's flip that around. And then I can place that at the back. Now, it'd be interesting, you might remember that I said the part at the beginning was to fix the 2 swapped edges thing, and I said we couldn't just turn the top face. It wouldn't actually get us out of it. Now that we've fixed it, it is actually still possible to get 2 swapped edges at this point of the solve. Now, I'm just going to look at it and see, in fact, that's exactly what we've got. I've got an edge here in the middle, and I've got these 2 edges swapped. So this is the point at which what we'd normally do makes sense. We'd say, well, I'm going to turn that top face 1 turn and resolve the blue and the red edges. To produce a 3 cycle here. Now the first thing, clearly it's a 3 cycle because they're in position. That's in position, but it's flipped. The next thing to note is that that's flipped, and I did say earlier you could still get that here and it's fine, we'll fix that. But the other thing to just talk about quickly is why does that work? Why does it work here? Well, what's going to happen is the corners are also going to be in correct, what's the word? They're going to not be swapped. They're going to be in 3 cycles, essentially. And we'll see that at the end when we try and solve it. We're not going to get a situation where the corners, where I end up with a swap of 2 corners like I did earlier. And that's why this is okay to do now. So we're solving this. Now we do have this flipped edge. And the reason for that is because we've been doing stuff earlier that can flip an edge. And so it's not a problem. That's why I said it's no issue fixing it here. We know how to do it. We'll do it exactly the same as we did before. We'll just hold the puzzle like this. So this is at the up front position. We do the standard, well, my standard edge flipper to flip that edge, and then I move the center up into that position. Looks good, and then do it again to flip the other one back. And of course that orange center has flipped, but we can't see it. You can see that everything now looks good. So all the edges are done. I'm now going to go and solve the corners using the corner piece series. Link in description if you're not sure what that is. Okay, here's another one. Another one here will go like that. Next one here, orange, white, green, like that again. Looks like we've got 4 to go. What have we got? Let's just solve one of these. Yeah, so I'm just going to move this up here to create that movement there. Okay. Now I said that we would not end up with a swap. Let's see what we've got. If I've made a liar out of myself. White, orange, blue needs to go here. Blue, red, yellow needs to go here. Red, green, yellow needs to go back here. So we do have a 3 cycle. So I hope that little thing about the swapped edges that we just had a couple of minutes ago, why we're allowed to turn the yellow face, or why turning that does actually help. I hope all that makes sense. Now I've got the last 3 to deal with, so this might be tricky and it might not. That's got to go there. In order for that, let's just see if that, no, I don't like that. This looks pretty annoying actually, so what I might do, and what I would often do here, is just place them. I'm trying to place them and solve them and orient them correctly. I might just place them and worry about the orientation later. So in fact that doesn't have to go there at all, does it? I'm just looking at it now. There's no green. It's a yellow, red, green. It's got to go here. Okay, so I'll move the pieces around like that. Now it so happens that I got one of them correctly oriented. I've got the last 2, and you can see this looks lovely. I've got one here that needs to twist anti-clockwise, one that needs to twist clockwise. Yes, I just did say them correctly. So that's great. They're on the top face. I'm going to twist this one around that way first. As always, that's going around that way, so I turn this right face first and I do up, up, down, down. And I'll do it twice. That's rotated. I bring the other one by turning the upper face into the position, and I continue and I'll do the opposite, up, up, down, down, to rotate this one. Undo that upper face move, and you can see that this thing is solved. Well, I hope that helped. I hope you enjoyed that cube. If you haven't got it, as I say, I reckon it is well worth getting, and does have some interesting little issues that we've dealt with. And as I said at the start, I also hope you liked that method of dealing with these inner centers, or these inner parts here. As always, thanks for watching.